What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup here on Touchline Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content I put out every single week. Dedicating most of this roundup to Arsenal's win over Liverpool. And I want to start by setting the stage for this game. Because to me, that's the real takeaway here. There isn't a lot to say about what happened on the field. Arsenal were clearly the better team. They deserved to win. I'll talk about that in a second. But Arsenal needed to win this game to stay in the title race. Liverpool could have taken another step toward really solidifying themselves as the frontrunners had they won. But all of the pressure was on Arsenal. They could not afford to miss another opportunity and to not make up points on Liverpool in this game at home. And they played like it. They were spectacular. Liverpool gets kind of the strange goal at the end of the first half to make it 1-1. They really didn't create much outside of that. Then you have the horrific mix-up between Alisson and Van Dijk that gives Arsenal the second. They see it out from there pretty comfortably. They were comprehensively the better team. And so now they are absolutely back in the title race. However, and I was very, very stubborn about this last season, and I'm going to be stubborn about it in this title race as well. This title still goes through Anfield. And I say that because Manchester City still has to go there. Arsenal have a series of difficult road games, and a lot of their big wins have come at home. City also have a difficult stretch, although some of those are at home. Liverpool have a trip to Aston Villa and that Manchester City game, and those are the only ones you really look at as difficult games. Even if City win both of their games in hand, they still need to either come away with a draw or a win at Anfield, or to better Liverpool's results the rest of the way in order to actually catch them and to finish with, well, not to catch them, more specifically to finish with the higher point total and actually win the league. Because you still have that opportunity at Anfield to gain 3 points sitting there if you are Liverpool. And that's why I very specifically say it goes through Anfield. Because we're probably going to be in a world where they have to win that game. And if City come away with a draw, then we're talking about a different complexion in the title race and a different frontrunner. This is not to say that Liverpool are the betting favorites or the team you should pick right now. There is absolutely an argument that Manchester City have recovered from their bad start. Kevin De Bruyne is back. That you just feel they look like the best team in the league, that this is inevitable. All of that is valid. But it is too early to jump to that conclusion because they still have to do things they have not done this season. You may think they are going to do those things, but they have not won these games in hand. They haven't navigated the rest of their schedule, and they haven't come away with something from Anfield. That game may very well decide the title, and maybe Arsenal is able to make a run at this. They're giving themselves an opportunity. That's all they could do with this game, and that's exactly what they did. But I am not ready to change the conversation about the title race yet. This is Liverpool's still to lose from a mathematical standpoint. If they do what they're supposed to and they win at home, they should still win this title. The key word being should, because you are facing Manchester City, and a Manchester City team that is looking better and better. That's what I came away from this game thinking about. Because, like I said, Jurgen Klopp even said, Arsenal deserved to win. You don't see that kind of stuff from Van Dijk and Alisson. They also just didn't cause any issues with the press. They weren't creating chances. There wasn't a lot of chaos. It was just very comfortable and comprehensive from Arsenal. And so Arsenal won the game they had to win. Liverpool lost a game they would have liked to come away with a point or to win. That's where we're at. This still is Liverpool's to lose, and it could very well come down to that game at Anfield. And if I'm Jurgen Klopp, and that's what this is going to come down to in my last season, I'll take my chances. Other two things I wanted to mention quickly, a update on AFCON and the Asian Cup, and two specific teams that are following a rather strange but similar trajectory. In AFCON, you have the hosts, the Ivory Coast, who barely even made it to the knockout stage, who fired their manager in the middle of the tournament because it was so bad, who have not been impressive, but have somehow clawed their way back into a couple games in the knockout stage to reach the semifinals. Again, it's not like this has been impressive by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a train wreck, and it is quickly becoming an unforgettable, legendary run where they feel like the team of destiny. And you look at who's left, and of course Nigeria has firepower that this Ivory Coast team doesn't. This is not the Ivory Coast team of years past. There's a talent disparity there. If you end up playing Nigeria in the final, they will be underdogs. Maybe not large ones because it is on home soil, but that's the one big team standing in your way. They were the Ivory Coast were the second highest ranked team in the quarterfinals because of how many, favorites, the Senegals, the Moroccos, have exited this tournament. It has been chaos. And Ivory Coast have found a way to survive. That is the correct word. And so now it just feels like it's almost inevitable they're going to go on and win this thing. That if they've gotten this far, they've got to finish the job. What I would say to that is, look at what's happened in this tournament. You just don't know. It is entirely possible they actually put in some good performances that we haven't really seen yet and get the job done. It's also entirely possible that either they lose in the semis in a game they should win, or that Nigeria are just a class above them in the final, assuming Nigeria get there as well. But this is a remarkable turn of events without much actually changing on the field in terms of the performances. It's not like they've been great, but they are somehow finding ways to win games and to just get by, to come back after conceding opening goals. And here they are, with all of this late magic. They've got the entire country from despair to thrilled. And we're going to have to see if they can finish the job and get these last two wins to lift the Africa Cup of Nations on home soil. In the Asian Cup, I mentioned that you've got kind of two teams in these tournaments following similar trajectories. The Asian Cup, that would be South Korea. Again, this has not been impressive. Jurgen Klinsmann is not doing himself any favors. Your star player, your international superstar, is not pleased with how this is going. But he delivers against Australia to get him to the semis. And again, you've got some of the traditional heavy hitters that are out of this thing. They might do this as well. And this is a team that you're not surprised that they're here. But the way they have gotten here is jarring because they just, generally speaking, have not been good in this tournament. And it is one of those examples, both of these really, and this is where I'll end, of a point that I keep emphasizing and firmly believe in, which is that you can only put so much stock in knockout tournaments. I talk about this with MLS all the time, but it applies on the international stage as well. If South Korea goes on and wins this, that shouldn't change how anybody feels about the job Jurgen Klinsmann has done. They have regressed. It is that simple. But if you have a couple moments from your star players who are carrying the team, you win a penalty shootout here or there, you come up with a big save or somebody misses a big chance, the stars align, you can win these kind of tournaments. It's what makes them fun. It's what makes these playoff single elimination formats fun. It doesn't change the bigger picture, though. So I wanted to end with that. It's just one of those things that really, really bothers me that, and we're already talking about it with, the 2026 World Cup schedule has started being released. And it's this idea of, well, if Greg Berhalter doesn't do good at Copa America, should he be the head coach for the World Cup? What happens if they do what they did in the 2022 World Cup, where they looked really good in the group stage, did not have a good showing in the round of 16, but performed really, really well? And we lose sight of that because ultimately they only got to the round of 16. They didn't perform well on the knockout stage, and that's what everybody takes away from it. What happens if they play Uruguay really, really well and it's a draw and they finish second in their group and then face a really good South American team in their first knockout game and lose? But they look really, really good in those first three games. And they look really good in the fourth one, and they lose in a shootout or a late goal or something. You have to take the broader context of, is this team getting better? But that's not what these tournaments are about. These tournaments are about survive in advance. That is what Ivory Coast are doing. That's what South Korea are doing. And so we have our semifinals set in the Africa Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup. That is all for this edition of the Weekend Roundup. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.